The Royal Regiment of Scotland is the senior and only Scottish line infantry regiment of the British Army Infantry. It consists of 4 regular and 2 reserve battalions, plus an incremental company, each formally an individual regiment. However, each battalion maintains its former regimental pipes and amp drums to carry on the traditions of their antecedent regiments. History. As part of restructuring in the British Army, the Royal Regiment of Scotland's creation was announced by the Secretary of State for Defence, Geoff Hoon, in the House of Commons on 16 December 2004. After the merger of several regiments and the reduction in total regular infantry battalions from 40 to 36 was outlined in the Defence White Paper, Delivering Security in a Changing World, several months earlier. The regiment consists of a total of 7 battalions. One of these was formed by the amalgamation of the Royal Scots and King's Own Scottish Borderers, while the others are each formed from one of the remaining single battalion regiments of the Scottish Division. Along with the Rifles, it is currently the largest infantry regiment in the British Army. Of all of the new regiments formed following the announcement of 16 December 2004, the Royal Regiment of Scotland is the only one where the former regimental titles have been prominently retained with the new numbered battalion designations as subtitles. There is, however, a common regimental cap badge (TRF), tartan, stable belt and Glengarry headdress, but distinctively coloured hackles are also worn by each separate battalion on the tam o' shanter headdress to maintain their individual identity, and the pipes and drums of each battalion continue to wear the ceremonial uniforms and tartans of the former regiments, along with the Rifles. The Royal Regiment of Scotland is also one of only 2 line infantry regiments to maintain its own regular military band within the Corps of Army Music, which was formed through the amalgamation of the Highland Band and Lowland Band of the Scottish Division. In addition, there are 2 territorial bands, the Highland Band and the Lowland Band of the Royal Regiment of Scotland, which are administered by the regiment's 2 territorial battalions. The regiment also has its own parachute display team, the Golden Lions, and shinty team, the Scots Shinty Club. In 1948, every regiment of line infantry was reduced to a single battalion. The subsequent process of reducing the overall number of infantry regiments in the army through disbandment or amalgamation of the traditional county regiments that were formalized in the Childers reforms of 1881 to form larger multi-battalion regiments, has continued to affect most of the British Army infantry since the 1957 Defence White Paper outlined the first mergers. The creation of the Royal Regiment of Scotland encountered considerable opposition amongst former soldiers, conservatives and nationalist groups. The new regiment is also primarily a kilted one, and there are concerns that the much older Lowland units, which traditionally wore shirts, will be effectively absorbed into a Highland tradition. However, the Ministry of Defence's case that change was necessary to enhance operational efficiency through economies of scale, improve and create more flexible conditions of service, and to resolve chronic recruiting and retention problems amongst the 8 single battalion Scottish regiments appears to have been accepted by the majority of serving personnel, and indeed was recommended by the then Chief of the General Staff, Sir Mike Jackson. Jackson delegated the decision on how the reduction of battalions would be achieved to the Council of Scottish Colonels. The Council recommended that the Royal Scots should be amalgamated with the King's Own Scottish Borderers, reflecting the former regiment's long-term poor recruiting record and high reliance on Commonwealth recruits. The status of the Black Watch was particularly controversial. When the plan to amalgamate the regiments was announced, the Black Watch was deployed at Camp Dogwood in a relatively dangerous region of Iraq. Hammersfan was accused by the SNPO of stabbing the soldiers in the back, and being motivated purely by political and administrative concerns, with little regard to the effect on morale. This controversy was further exacerbated by the revelation that a former colonel of the Black Watch, Lieutenant General Alistair Irwin, had originally drafted the Army Board proposals to amalgamate the Scottish Division. The regiment was initially formed of 6 regular battalions on 28 March 2006. On 1 August 2006, the Royal Scots Battalion and King's Own Scottish Borderers Battalion were amalgamated into the 1st Battalion, Royal Scots Borderers, leaving the final regular roll of 5 battalions. In 2012, as part of the Army 2020 reform package, it was announced that the 5th Battalion, while not losing its name and history as the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders, would be reduced to the status of an incremental company, similar to the 3 companies in the Guards Division, and be transferred to become a permanent public duties unit in Scotland. Organisation: all battalions in the Royal Regiment of Scotland, to preserve regional ties and former regimental identities, took the name of the former individual regiments. The order of battle is as follows: Regular Battalions, the Royal Scots Borderers. 1st Battalion, the Royal Regiment of Scotland, operates in a light infantry role under 38th Brigade. Personnel are based at Palace Barracks in Belfast. The Royal Highland Fusiliers. 2nd Battalion, the Royal Regiment of Scotland, operates in the light protected mobility role under 51st Infantry Brigade and Headquarters Scotland. Personnel are based at Glencorse Barracks in Edinburgh. The Black Watch. 3rd Battalion, the Royal Regiment of Scotland, operates in the light protected mobility role under 51st Infantry Brigade and Headquarters Scotland. Personnel are based at Fort George. The Highlanders. 4th Battalion, the Royal Regiment of Scotland, operates in the heavy protected mobility role under 20th Armoured Infantry Brigade. Personnel are based at Catterick Garrison Balaclava Company. 5th Battalion, the Royal Regiment of Scotland. Reserve Battalions: 52nd Lowland. 6th Battalion, the Royal Regiment of Scotland, operates in a light infantry role under 51st Infantry Brigade and Headquarters Scotland. Personnel are based in Glasgow. 51st Highland. 7th Battalion, the Royal Regiment of Scotland, operates in a light infantry role under 51st Infantry Brigade and Headquarters Scotland. Personnel are based in Perth. Colonel-in-Chief. The regiment's Colonel-in-Chief is H.M. the Queen. The Colonels-in-Chief of the constituent regiments making up the new regiment have become the Royal Colonels of the representative battalions. 1st Battalion, H.R.H. the Princess Royal. 2nd Battalion, H.R.H. the Duke of York. 3rd Battalion, H.R.H. the Duke of Rothesay 1. 4th Battalion, H.R.H. the Duke of Edinburgh. 5th Battalion, H.M. the Queen. 6th Battalion, H.R.H. the Princess Royal. 7th Battalion, H.R.H. the Duke of Rothesay. 1. The Duke of Rothesay takes the title of Prince of Wales whilst outside Scotland. Uniform and dress. Cap badge and motto. In August 2005, the new regimental cap badge was unveiled at the Edinburgh Military Tattoo. The design was the result of a collaborative effort led by Brigadier Andrew Mackay, along with other serving and retired officers and regimental sergeant majors, with advice from the Lord Leon, King of Arms. The new cap badge incorporates the saltire of St Andrew and the lion rampant of the Royal Standard of Scotland, which are two prominent national symbols. The cap badge is surmounted by a crown, in this case the Crown of Scotland. The regiment's motto is Nemo me impune lacessit, which is the motto of the Order of the Thistle, Scotland's highest order of chivalry, and was also the motto of 4 of the pre-existing Scottish regiments. Dress. The new regiment's various dress uniforms incorporate a number of golden threads from the antecedent regiments. Some of the most prominent include: all battalions wear the Lowland pattern Glengarry. This pattern was in fact also common to the Seaforth Highlanders and Gordon Highlanders, as well as the Lowland Royal Highland Fusiliers, Royal Scots and King's Own Scottish Borderers regiments. In number 1 and number 2 pattern dress, all battalions wear black cocktail feathers attached to the Glengarry in a tradition taken from the Royal Scots and King's Own Scottish Borderers. The regimental motto of the Highlanders, Quidditch Henry, has been incorporated into the Royal Scots thistle pattern collar dogs worn on the No. 1 and number 2 pattern doublet of service dress jacket. The tartan adopted by the new regiment as Government 1, a version of the government tartan worn by the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders. The kilt is sewn in a box pleat style as worn by the 2nd Battalion Black Watch, Seaforth Highlanders, Queen's Own Highlanders and the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders. The sporran is in the horsehair style worn by the Seaforth Highlanders and Gordon Highlanders, with a brass black watch cantle. The black and red diced hose and scarlet garter flashes are in a style worn by the Black Watch. The spats with black buttons, worn over the brogues, are in a style worn by the Gordon Highlanders, with a point to the rear, as worn by the Black Watch. The band of the Royal Regiment of Scotland wears the feather bonnet with a red Dover white hackle and scarlet doublet in full dress uniform. Hackles. While in PCS combat dress, each battalion wears its own unique coloured hackle on the Tam O'Shanter 1st Battalion, black 2nd Battalion, white 3rd Battalion, red 4th Battalion, blue 5th Battalion, green 6th Battalion, grey 7th Battalion, purple. Mascot. The official mascot is a Shetland pony named Cruachan. He was originally the regimental mascot of the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders prior to the amalgamation. The first pony mascot was presented to the Argylls in 1929 by H.R.H. Princess Louise, Duchesses of Argyll, and named after Ben Cruachan, a mountain in the Argylls' namesake lieutenancy, and the war cry of Clan Campbell, of whom the Duke of Argyll was chief. The current mascot is Cruachan IV and was presented in late 2012. Alliances. Historic alliances are as follows: the Royal Scots Borderers Canada, the Canadian Scottish Regiment, Canada, Royal Newfoundland Regiment, Canada, 1st Battalion, the Royal New Brunswick Regiment, Australia, 25th, 49th Battalion, the Royal Queensland Regiment, Malaysia, 5th Battalion, the Royal Malay Regiment, South Africa, the Witwatersrand Rifles, Royal Navy, HMS Edinburgh, the Royal Highland Fusiliers Canada, the Royal Highland Fusiliers of Canada. New Zealand, the Royal New Zealand Infantry Regiment, Pakistan, 11th Battalion, the Balak Regiment, South Africa, Prince Alfred's Guard, the Black Watch Canada, the Black Watch of Canada, Canada, 42nd Field Artillery Regiment, RCA, Canada, the Prince Edward Island Regiment, Australia, the Royal Queensland Regiment, Australia, the Royal New South Wales Regiment, South Africa, the Transvaal Scottish, New Zealand, the New Zealand Scottish, Royal Navy, HMS Montrose, the Highlanders Canada, the Cameron Highlanders of Ottawa, Canada, the 48th Highlanders of Canada, Canada, the Queen's Own Cameron Highlanders of Canada, Canada, the Seaforth Highlanders of Canada, Canada, the Toronto Scottish Regiment, Australia, 7th Battalion, the Royal Australian Regiment, Australia, 5th, 6th Battalion, Royal Victoria Regiment, Australia, the Royal South Australia Regiment, Australia, the Royal Western Australia Regiment, New Zealand, the Otago and Southland Regiment, New Zealand, the Wellington and Hawke's Bay Regiment, South Africa, the Cape Town Highlanders, Royal Navy, HMS Sutherland, Royal Navy, HMS Victorious, the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders, Canada, the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders of Canada, Canada, the Calgary Highlanders, Australia, the Royal Queensland Regiment, Australia, the Royal New South Wales Regiment, Pakistan, 1st Battalion, the Frontier Force Regiment, Royal Navy, HMS Argyll, lineage,